Can you talk about one shift needed in the traditional service industry?
I would like to see results as a consequence of customer satisfaction. Instead of today, much more customer satisfaction being a byproduct of what the company does. Or we do things, and the customer is happy. No. We want to make the customer happy, and the rest as a consequence. Now, obviously, I'm not saying one is more important than the other, and profits, bottom line, results are key. But it's, again, earlier on, we spoke about mindset. It's a mindset thing. It's like the triangle. Happy customers make happy owners, make happy staff. Richard Branson, fantastic guy. He says, happy staff make happy customers, make happy owners. So, it's the same thing, but look at it differently.
For me, it's, the workplace. They say culture eats strategy. And I think that's true as an organization. Culture eats strategy. I would like to invite the people to go to Netflix and see The Downfall, which is about a documentary about Boeing, which was in the 80s a successful airplane company. Now had some problems, and they discussed the topics on the work floor, the culture of the company that shifted indeed to more focus on results and less on people. So I would like to see that organizations consider the work culture as a priority for their organization, especially when you see that documentary. I think you learn a lot from it. Another documentary, or a movie rather, is on Apple TV about Air Jordan, how Nike grow as a company also by contracting Michael Jordan, the basketball player, which is a completely different mindset, which is more bottom up as top down. Yeah. And I believe in a good corporate culture as a driver for the results and a driver for the welfare of the company. Yeah,
I like the example of Boeing, and because I want to add something. And coming back to radical hospitality, okay. When you look at the mission statement for Boeing, it doesn't mention the customer. It does not mention the customer. When you look at Airbus, it mentions the customer. For me, it's a fundamental difference, and it reflects on what the companies or how they stand today. The business model for Boeing is not for the customer. The business model is about profits and what have you, results and spanning the world and building planes. Boeing phrases it one way, Airbus does it. They do the same thing. They produce airplanes when they go to Farnborough or they go to Le Bourget. Their objective is to sell as many planes as possible. But an Airbus plane is conceived, built, and the whole company is geared towards the customer because that's in their mission statement, and they actually live by their mission statement, whereas the plane is a means to an end for Boeing, if you get me that. We want to make profit, therefore we make planes. 787, batteries burning. 737, they crashed because they didn't tell their customers in the beginning. Two planes crashed because they didn't tell their customers, that they had installed a system that flies the plane against the pilot.
Yeah.
Whoa. Crazy. Are we then worried today that Airbus is in a different position than Boeing? I don't know. But it's a fantastic example.
It's culture.
Culture.
And where did you implement radical hospitality with success?
Well, there's a number of examples that I want to mention, but one that I'm very happy to mention is we worked for a large pharmaceutical company. I cannot name them. They employ 120,000 people, and they had an internal service providing organization that was helping all their head offices and all their offices with internal services, catering, meetings, what sometimes is called facility management. Now, one of the discussions in Europe was we will outsource, which would mean, at least for the group itself, a serious HR issue because it was a consequent number of people. So they said, we want to do things differently. Now, one of the things they also saw is that despite having internal services, they had a lot of people going to outside companies for the same services. And they had a lot of, because it was pharma, a lot of their high-paying jobs, doctors, developers, were actually doing things that were not related to their immediate job. And one example they gave me is, we have this doctor, we are going to move him to America, from one head office to another, and he spent the last 2 weeks, he spent 5 hours researching a company to move his horse. Okay, but the guy's paid to do research. So when he's looking for moving his horse, he's not doing research. So that was one of the issues of the company. A simple issue, but they had many, and in a big organization like that. So they asked themselves, what can we do? Well, we can outsource. That's easy. But that's against the company values. It's against this, it's against that. So they said, no, let's improve our services internally. And this will then allow us to show people we do it better than what you can find on the market. Therefore, and also the reaction was, we will tell then our staff, one, you do the job for which you're paid for, and you leave the rest to others. And second, these outside companies, they are always charging more than my own internal service. They need to make a profit. You buy a sandwich, you sell it internally, you sell it externally, you need a 30% margin on top of it. Okay. Now, we worked a lot with them. And the fantastic thing as a result is their new head office, they call it the Brand Hospitality House. I loved it. And that's how they now see their new headquarters in one of the big cities of Europe, where they receive ministers, presidents, and very, very important people in their world. And it's called the Brand House of Hospitality. I think it's fantastic. And when you enter that place, you really feel that it's been built for the people that enter that place. It's been built for the employees, making them feel fantastic. But it's also built for whoever minister or, they want to buy a new company. So the CEO of that company comes, wow, it's really a fantastic experience. And what I liked when I visited them last is they went from the parking lot to the toilets. You see, it's the same brand.
Okay.
And that is they got it right.
Yeah, for me, if you want to really be disruptive, I think you need to be indeed focusing also on the values, the core of the business, the mission statement. I mentioned already the example of the hotel chains, because here we could really objectively measure the increase in performance and guest satisfaction from 56 to 77%. And even for me, that was quite remarkable. In fact, just by changing the mindset, changing the culture, the values, more empathy, what you could achieve. So I believe if you want to do it right, you have to really go all in. Start with the leadership and make the complete shift. And
we don't want to scare people, of course, when we talk about all of this, but it's not done in a day.
No.
So when you start thinking, Jochen wrote a book about the subject. I wrote a book about the subject about how to make hospitality your company culture. It's not a quick fix, okay? It's not done in a day. Company culture will change. You can change the company culture, but it'll take some time. The results he mentioned in a hotel chain, we were over 18 months. The company that I talked to you about, this pharmaceutical company, also because of the size of the company, it took them 2 or 3 years to get to that. And then it's not finished. Because as the world is changing, as people are expecting more and more, the customer today is not the same customer as 20 years ago. So there needs to be updates and adaptations as we go along. So we don't want to scare people. We don't want to do everything either, because companies have to own their processes. But sometimes they need some help, and an outside view can help this.
And how can you operationalize hospitality according to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a very abstract issue, hospitality. You talk to a pharma group and they say, hospitality, what is hospitality? But luckily today, with computers, with data, etc., we have access to a lot of numbers. It is totally possible today to measure the impact. Okay. Years ago it was complicated. When it's paper-based, you can't do it. But Net Promoter Score is one. Staff satisfaction is another. average spend is very telling on how good you are with treating your customers. Repeat business is another one. Complaint resolution rate, how many complaints are solved, to what effect, the percentages of complaints versus the number of cases or the number of transactions that you have. So today we can make hospitality measurable. So that's a good relief. I can go to a CFO today, we can go to a CFO today and say, okay, A plus B, there's a good likelihood of you achieving C. 10 years ago, impossible. 20 years ago, wouldn't even dream of it. It was all fluff, it was all words. So today it's measurable, so that's good. The other thing, how to make it operationalize, is to cut it up into little pieces. How do you eat an elephant? You have to chop it into little pieces. You want to walk up to Kilimanjaro, you do it in different steps. So that's really what we're looking at, is to say, okay, there are ways today to make it concrete. There are ways today to make it measurable. You have to fix you have to establish the KPIs and all of that. And a lot of it is also, we intervene in what we call the HR cycle. It's because you cannot dissociate customer satisfaction from employee satisfaction. We say, okay, let's look at the HR cycle of things. It starts with hiring. How do we hire? That has changed a lot over the years, but I'll take you back 5 years ago. The majority of job ads were saying, we want. Now today, because they can't find any people, they say, okay, we also give you something. But people want to see this. People want to see, okay, you expect something from me, but I have my expectations the same. So the HR cycle, we intervene on that. So the hiring process is one. Then when you are in the company, your personal development, you talk to people today, one of the things that they want is to be developed. Everybody wants to be developed. Everybody wants to become a better person through his professional activities. Now that's something that you need to work on. And obviously there's the appraisal system. You have to, because we can measure, you then have to apply these measuring points into the appraisal system that you employ with your team. We had again, coming back to bank, we worked for a very big bank in a European country, and they gave a name to their program. Okay, so the customer satisfaction program was called, okay, let's name it, it was called Smile. Great, simple, recognizable, it was called Smile. The great thing is that after some time, people were telling each other, now, what you said to the customer yesterday, that was not very Smile. Wow, But then they used that also into their appraisal system. But then they added activities around Smile. Hotel groups do the same. They have, activities around the motto of the company. If you go, we mentioned Ritz-Carlton before, they have activities around ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. What can we do? But if, again, taking back that motto is, if I want to make you a lady and gentleman, I have to train you, I have to develop you, I have to give you attention. What do people want? People want attention. Okay? So it's valid for the employee, and then it's valid for the customer. So these are elements by which you can, I would call it, operationalize. Now, obviously, a company has to produce cars or sell insurance policies or banking products, but on top of that, you can add, and you can operationalize, whereas a couple of years ago, it was very complicated to explain to people.
Speaking about operational hospitality, as Pierre said, I believe strong in those numbers along the client journey. So from online, pre-arrival, or making just the interest of the customer at the beginning of the funnel towards where they are advocate and a repeated user. I think along all this line, you can put several KPIs and measure where is the satisfaction, where do I lose customers, where do I increase. I see the opportunity now for corporations not to focus anymore on, or not to solely focus anymore on just bottom line, but how do I get this bottom line? It's just the end result, which will come later. There's a whole process in between, and it's all about, like, if your operations work well, your finance will also be well. If you are efficient at every step, if your clients are happy at every step, finally it shows also bottom line. And I'm kind of glad that this evolution towards more digitalization has taken place, and I I think it's very promising also in the next 10 years, also with AI. So yeah, I look with confidence, in fact, that client experience will increase just because of the measurement of those individual KPIs on clients, which are possible now. Yeah.
It's more result driven now as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always been result driven,
Yeah.
but I think that there needs to be a little bit of a finding the equilibrium that has gone one way, the other way. You know, we mentioned it before. Pre-COVID was one situation. Then when we came out of COVID, because people had saved on everything and interaction was not possible, they got used to. If you want to look at that, you'll do it on the app and you'll do it on the chat box and you'll do it this. People were screaming for human interaction. I mean, training companies, we work with some of them. We were with one of them, and they said, look, we saw an enormous jump of people wanting to see trainers again in live sessions, because, you know, this online thing is great for technical trainings, for some of this, but for skills training, mindset training, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So one of the things we say when we do training programs on hospitality, on company culture, the majority of them will be, or at least the base and the start will be, in a human interaction, in a session, a live session. You can then have add-ons and follow-up sessions on digital, fine, you know, and you can use gamification, it can be fun online, and you can do that at your own pace, but not everything can go digital. But you have to think the digital from a customer point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Jochen, Pierre, can you give us an example of one habit that companies should break down?
A habit a company should break. Well, depending on the company, of course. But I would say look at your client first, learn from your client. So I would say do not inside out, but outside in, you know, see the world around you, how the world around you operates, learn from your customer, work together with them, collaborate, and then act, and not the other way around. That's one advice. That's a habit I would implement. Yeah.
Yes. A bit more complex, but I would say a habit that I would like companies to look at again or change is to consider the whole customer experience, you know, the whole customer journey from the very beginning to the very end, because it's not just me selling the product, it's just not me selling the car, it's the whole experience that is important. I'll give you a very good example. I think it's a good example. A retail brand of clothes in the UK, very big brand, and they were really good established as a nice household, not the most expensive, not the cheapest, a nice brand. Everybody liked the brand, but they had a no return policy on a number of items, and especially when you bought your clothing in retail villages, because there are some retail villages or outlets as they call them, no return policy. Okay. But then they got competition from others who said, okay, but we have a return policy. So this company said, oh, we're losing sales, we're losing interest, people are not happy because they can't return. So it's okay, we have a new policy. You can return your items on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Because that was okay for them. Now they got more negativity out of that new, wow, we think about our customer. They got more negativity out of that than before. They just said, no, you can't return. But it was clear. Now you have to take a holiday on a Tuesday, 10 o'clock to be there, and then you have 150 people in front of you, you lose all day. So people don't want this. So it fitted the company because probably they hired someone half-time, I don't know, sitting behind a desk doing that job, I don't know. But it doesn't serve the customer, right? So
it's outside in, inside.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that later. But yes, this outside in perspective, it's a very marketing thing that, you know, we sell what people want. Yeah. But the way you sell it, is it also how the people want it?
No.
That's the question.